It's a beautiful day outside. So if anybody lives in the DMV area, go outside. Just take a deep breather. It's a beautiful day. It's like perfect weather. This is what I call perfect weather. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's where it's just right, and I kind of wish it stay at this weather forever. This is even though I'm a winter person, this is perfect weather. But we're not going to be talking about that. We're talking about censorship. It's a weird transition, but um, spring, summer, winter transitions. Winter transitions to spring, I'm going to transition through the weather to censorship. That's about close as I can get it. Anyway, um, I here's the thing about censorship. It has always been around. You should always think of the children. Some things are just not for children to watch. I've told on this channel that some of my favorite movies I watched when I was young, I shouldn't have been watching. To be honest, Coming to America is my favorite movie. I've been watching it since I was a kid. And when I mean I've been watching it since I was a kid, I've probably been watching it since I was like three, four, five. Like that's how that's how young I've been fucking watching that movie. And like I could watch that like even as a toddler, I watched that movie in front of my parents, and my parents do not blink an eye. If anything, they either watch with me or they know I'm watching Come to America. Now, I shouldn't have been watching that movie. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I shouldn't have been watching that movie, even though it's not as raunchy as other movies. But it is a comedy, and like I said, I turned out fine. I'm not on drugs. I'm not strung out, and none of my family members are. I've been watching cartoons, and personally, and especially like Looney Tunes, because we're gonna get to Pepe Le Pew. Uh, I've been watching cartoons my whole life, and I'm gonna be honest. Some of it is really violent, like Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes. Tom and Jerry, and let me tell you something. Tom and Jerry is really fucking violent. If you ever, I mean, but it's still like probably because it's happening to a cat and mouse. No one really says nothing. But I've also said, and it's kind of been proven. I don't think like cartoons. Some cartoons are meant for adults. I don't think Looney Tunes was ever meant for kids specifically. I do think it was meant for kids for all ages. And like around those times, slapstick comedy was a real big thing when Looney Tunes and all that shit was. If you don't believe me, look at the Three Stooges. That was live action, and that was slapstick, and people loved the Three Stooges. Um, and they try to bring it back here. It didn't do so well, even though the movie is not that bad. I've actually, when I finally was able to watch it, I was like, "Oh, this movie is not that bad. It's actually pretty funny. That's just funny scenes." But anyway, watching that, I was watching we talking about the censorship. This is like some of the stuff I probably admit I watched it shouldn't have been watching. But then again, this stuff I snuck watching and I know that my parents wouldn't be afraid. Like HBO porn. Like like or BET Uncut. Or the Cinemax porn, the softcore porn where it's just like they're not really, really having sex, they're just more or less dry humping each other. But I just like titties. And I'm actually yeah, I just that was just my introduction to titties, and that was it. But BET Uncut, just women shaking it. Most of these joints is just like underground, low budget videos of women shaking their ass. But they were catchy, especially I ain't got no panties on the dance floor. So I do think censorship is needed on what things should not be watching. But the stuff I do feel like they are taking out, I do feel like I don't think you should be censoring this to kids. Now, it's not because they're violent or but a lot of it's due to racial undertone, and for Pepe Le Pew is more or less like sexual advances. So let me start with Pepe Le Pew. He's not one of my favorite Looney Tune characters. Um, but I do remember like every time he like a cat is misplaced for a skunk, he thinks it's a skunk, and he fucking not only he sees her, he goes up to her and starts kissing her. You see him. He's supposed to be this. He thinks he's this player, but he's really annoying. But it's probably because he's a skunk. and that's a cat. I think that's the joke. The joke is not really sexual advance. The joke is him thinking that's a skunk. Him thinking that's a skunk. I don't know. That's probably how I feel like how they're doing it, but I think that's how the joke is supposed to be. But but then again, I can understand why people taking that off. So I'm not, but I do think you should keep them. I do feel like taking them off or like him not being in future projects. Uh, and matter of fact, skunks. The way what I'm reading right now, skunks are probably the way skunks mate is probably like the closest thing. So if you like have your information on skunks, like Pepper the Pew is supposed to be doing what he's supposed to do. If you don't believe me, I just looked it up. How do skunks mate? It's like life cycle. Skunks are polygamous, meaning they mate more than one member of the opposite sex. In the Northeast, the breeding season begins in February and lasts through March. After mating, the male leaves females, takes no part in raising young. So skunks are ancient parents. um, but they are polygamous. So it kind of makes sense for Pepper Le Pew. He's just looking for someone to mate with, and then give his seed and become an ancient baby daddy. That's funny. That now you kind of think of it, it's funny. So he's like, he's trying to make them cats a bunch of baby mothers. So he's like, fuck future skunks. But you know, as far as do I feel like you should be taking that away from kids? I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad. It's not as bad as anyone's saying. It's funny, and I do realize you're not supposed to be doing it. I think as adults, we're supposed to tell our parents, don't do that. Whatever Pepper Le Pew do, but I think it's noticeable in the Pepper Le Pew cartoons. It's not like she's just sitting there; she's trying to escape. But it's like Pepper Le Pew is like a fucking toss up, and like because I do feel like me saying not taking this off. Oh, you okay with women sex? And it's just I'm not with men like sexually advancing people like that. It's just I'm not. I'm really not. But I do feel like you have to raise your kids and teach them right from wrong. Although you see this happening, you have to tell your kids, yeah, don't do it. You know who else does that in cartoons? Who is I'm kind of afraid that they're going to go after Johnny Bravo. Except Johnny Bravo doesn't fucking like go up and start kissing on girls and all that other stuff. He's never to a point where he's just like he's never to a point where he's like manhandling the women she can't escape. Every girl that Johnny Bravo is a jerk to or like being annoying male chauvinist, she fucking not only she overpowers them, they beat them up and all that other stuff. Like I feel like that's supposed to be the joke, which is like he thinks he's this cool machismo player, and it doesn't work. When his game doesn't work with modern women, and he gets beat up for it. That and he's a mama's boy, and he's kind of an idiot. Now, the later seasons of Johnny Bravo, like he still flirts with women, but I think the later seasons of Johnny Bravo more focused on him being an idiot than more him being like this male chauvinist. If you really like watch Johnny Bravo, this is like as far as I'm concerned, like when they had went through that new animation and all that other stuff, it was like, frankly, Johnny, you're an idiot, and they always like just more or less harped on the head. I hear a woodpecker outside. Oh shit, we get woodpeckers around here. Anyway, so that's on Pepe Le Pew, and I hope Johnny Bravo doesn't get that same treatment. But I'm pretty sure they'll come out. I do think they're going to come after our cartoons, like the '90s cartoons, real soon, like the Johnny Bravos and all that other stuff. Now for Disney, I don't. Disney to me is just like their cancellations off of racial terms. I think Jungle Book was hit, which is sad because Jungle Book's a great movie. Um, Peter Pan is a great like all the movies that they're taking off are really great movies. Like Peter Pan, and these are movies I watched when I was a kid in the '90s. So like Peter Pan, like Peter Pan, Aristocats, Jungle Book, it's like great music, and you're taking that, and then Bambi, because and the reason why anybody's wondering like why they're taking those shows because of racial undertones. Aristocats, I believe we are I'm believing it's the Siamese cats. It's like we are Siamese, if you please. Peter Pan is the way the Native Americans, and like Dumbo is because the Black Southern Crows. It's like, hey, how you doing? Now, you are okay to have a problem with that, and I'm gonna repeat myself with Umar Johnson. If you have a problem with that and you are offended by that, that is okay to have a problem. That is okay to be offended by it. Like I've heard a lot of people is like how they don't like the Southern Crows or Mammy Two Shoes from Tom and Jerry. Whoopi Goldberg, and I will probably leave that. I will find that video and leave it in the description box because it's a real honest video. It's like these were, these times were back in the times where this is what the type of comedy it was. Although they don't really, because I know Tom and Jerry at least covered this shit up. When like Tom and Jerry anniversary joints, it was just like, and they had Whoopi Goldberg speak them on. Like, there's a lot of racial undertones, like Mammy Two Shoes, and like these were the signs of the times. I don't do this no more. Therefore, it's like we have learned and we have grown from this. But I do feel like these are a part of histories, and you shouldn't take them out of history. That's that's if I remember, that's how it was explained, and I like the way she explained it, and that's how I kind of explain this. I don't think you should remove these from kids. I understand, like when you're a kid, you don't see this, so when you're an adult, you're like, wow, there's a lot of racial undertones in a lot of fucking cartoons. Like Bugs Bunny and the whole "Don't Beat Me" monster. I still like Bugs Bunny, but I understand like that was supposed to be a fucking joke, and more or less of Yosemite Sam being a fucking Southern hillbilly than much less But at the same time, I feel like these are jokes. It's comedy and all that other stuff. Even to a point, blackface. I do not like blackface. I know. I understand that. I still understand that it's comedy, but you also understand it's not funny no more. Like we all understand that. I understand blackface is not funny no more, but I'm not going to take blackface out of history. Like it's just like okay, we don't do it no more, or like to a point where, and I know everybody was like, "What about Robert Downey Jr.?" And to me, that was funny. And I say this all the time. I know a lot of people don't admit that, but I say this all the time. Robert Downey Jr. Because everybody brings up Robert Downey Jr. and the first thing they think of blackface in the modern era. Robert Downey Jr. I feel like he did it funniest, and there's no other way of topping that. And I think other shows tried to do it and all that other stuff, but it's always the same way. It's like you don't do that no more. And I think one of them was trying to be a Klingon, but I think people try to mistake that as racial undertone because Klingons are black. Let's be real, Klingons are fucking black. I know they're not black, but Klingons are black. But sooner or later, WWE's going to have to understand this too. I'm pretty sure they're prepared for it. But when WWE was making fun of the Nation of Domination, oh yeah, they was in blackface. They're going to have to answer to that too one of these days. I still think it's funny. And me personally, I still think it's one of their funniest skits. But they're going to have to answer to that sooner or later. And I don't think they've touched it ever. But sooner or later, they're going to have to answer about the DX imitating Nation of Domination. And the funny thing is, when you listen to and DX, they talked about it, it's like making fun, and it's like who's gonna be I want to be Mark Henry. It was like I want to be this person. And I was like, and like even still, when I watch it to this day, I think it's funny, especially when Triple H does his impression of The Rock and he calls himself the Croc. It's funny, but I feel like you can only do that once and never do it again. Same thing with Robert Downey Jr. He's done it the funniest to a point where you really shouldn't try to top it, because I know there's going to be people who want to try to top it. It's like, look, Robert Downey Jr. He's done that to perfection, and blackface wasn't really the joke. It was him being a method actor. Like people try to, I've explained it, and people don't explain it, and that's an adult movie. But for these kids, I feel like with Disney, they're trying to erase their history of being racist, because Walt Disney did not like Jews, and I'm pretty sure he had some racial undertones before other races. But a lot of like you like some of our like I know a lot of people think some of our finest movies they have a lot of racist undertone, like Beast of a Nation. That one's a racial undertone. The giant I think Driving Miss Daisy's one of them. It's another one. It's just like the maze is just like yo some muscle, some muscle. I come in, but it's just like some of those women. That I think one of the black women that won an Oscar for that too for her supporting actress. But it's just like I do feel like these are the times. It's like oh you got to say. I do feel like you got to say like okay these were the 50s. That's how things were ran back then. It's just like that's what they thought was cinema and that's what they thought was funny. Obviously, I don't think it's funny, but I feel like you do got to look on history. That's been my attitude for like seeing things that I would consider offensive or racist. It's just like that was the time back then. It's just like that's what they thought. I don't think, and you can say, "Look, I don't think this way." Even though I enjoy these films, I understand that there's a lot of racial undertones, and like I still enjoy them. Like that's just me. Like the Southern Black Crows, I actually like the Southern Black Crows. The Monkeys in Jungle Book, because I think they were supposed to think they took that because the monkeys supposed to reenact black people. But I was like, if I'm correct, the guy who was King Louis was a jazz singer, and that was supposed to be his band or some shit like that. And that's my favorite part of the movie, King Louis. I love King. I look forward to King Louis' part. Even though I watched that movie all through, I look forward to King Louis' part. If I was a kid and I never saw King Louis, I would feel like something was taken from me. It's like this shit was good, and it's not even that racist. To me, King Louis is not racist. They're in the jungle. I, now I know what you're saying. I don't think I've ever seen a bear in the fucking jungle anyway, and Bagheera and all that other stuff. But King Louis shit was just to me King, and this is where I'm saying this personal. King Louis shit, and because Jungle Book is one of my favorite movies of all time too. It's up there with Coming to America. And I used to watch Jungle Book consistently. I could still watch that movie. I think I almost know that movie from front to back. Baba doo dang, doo doo doo. That's me. Now, will I ever dress as King Louis for Halloween? Fuck no. um, y'all would never catch me dressed as King Louis as fucking because he was an ape, and I don't want to get them racial undertones and all that. But I fucks with King Louis. The old King Louis. Baba doo dang, doo doo doo. That's me. Hell, even but in conclusion, because I do want to end this because it was kind of going on forever. I don't think you should remove some of these. I don't think Disney should remove, but I also feel like they're trying to erase the fact that it was either racist or they like at one point thought it is. To me, I feel like that is just telling people yet you're racist or something like that. Or it's just like, why are you trying to erase it? Just know that he was there. But he's also like made some classics. Like Disney done made some under that Disney umbrella, they made some classics. Now it's just like the same way I felt about Aunt Jemima. I feel like you don't have to take it away, but you can rebrand yourself to a way it's just like this is what we used to be, look where we at now. And I know a lot of people was like with I said this with Aunt Jemima, it was just like you could like I understand it came from a slave woman and all that other stuff. First things first, their family should be reimbursed if they're still there. I'm like because they didn't make it off their name, they should get some type of royalties off of that. And I've said that they should get some type of royalty. But two, I feel like you can reinvent because they reinvent Looney Tunes all the fucking time. I feel like you could do that with motherfucking Aunt Jemima or anything. You could read it. It's like, hey, just that's how he was. But I know a lot of people don't take that, but at the same time, some of them people will still watch that fucking movie. I've heard people will tell people like racism, so just like I'll still watch the movie. That's how motherfuckers feel. But I don't know. Like I said, it's this is. I don't think this is cancel culture. More or less, Disney doing it. It's just like why are you doing? To me, it's just like I don't feel like you don't have to. I think you just gotta explain it for people that that are offensive. It's just if you are offended by it, don't watch it. Just don't watch it. And then like I'm pretty sure I'll get a debate on this, but that's basically how I feel. It's like I don't feel like you should take it away. I always disagree with that, the pulling of it. And I know they're not taking away from it fully; they're just taking away from the kids. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like the kid, like I was a kid watching all this. Like hell, half of the stuff I knew was kind of racist. It was just like it didn't bother me. Like maybe because a lot of shit don't bother me. Maybe that's probably because it's me. Now it could bother someone else. That's fine. But I still feel like you shouldn't take it away from cinema. It's like I've that's just me. I feel like I said, this is to me this is the equivalent of taking slavery out of history books. So with that being said, my name is Oskino Fly, and I'm out. Peace.